Hello. How's it going, everybody? It's me, Mr. Comic Crack. Doing this tonight, Sunday. I'm not making it to the chat. We have our member Christmas party, family Christmas party, rather, on Sunday. It's going to be kind of a big, it's a big event. So I just won't be making it on Sunday. So I thought I'd talk about some books that I read this week. Specifically, these four that are here in front of you. I read some single issues of stuff. I read the first two volumes of Hello, Mr. Vidal. I read the first two volumes of Luther Strode as well, but I'll save those to talk on the chat. These I wanted to talk about while they're still fresh in my mind, because I just don't know how fresh they'll be in another week's time. So let's just get right into it here. We'll go in this order here. So we'll start a la Damien's countdown. We'll start with the one that I enjoyed, but it kind of impressed me the least. This is Afternoon at McBurger's by Anna Galvan. I honestly don't really know what to say about I don't know what to say about this one. This is it's probably Fantagraphics, right? It's got to be Fantagraphics. I don't know why I'm not seeing that logo emblazoned. Yeah, there we go, Fantagraphics. I've seen the book before. I've seen some of the art. This is from 2021, so last year. And I'm not sure if it came out in another format in 2020, but there you have it. So it's a confusing little story taking place in the future. When girls turn, I think it's 11 years old, they go to McBurger's and they have a chance to win kind of the opportunity to go into the future. They're presented with three options, and they can go and visit the future. They can't take anything back from it, but they can go kind of see themselves at one of 3 points. So it sort of bounces around a little bit because we do get some of their futures and then it goes back to their past. So we do have some kind of time jumping going on here. Other than that, I'm not really sure what else I got out of it. It was an interesting story. It kept me turning the pages till the end. It's a very quick read. This isn't a heavy issue. I do like the art. I do like the things that are going on with the art. I do kind of like this color wheel type of stuff going on here, putting colors on top of them to create other colors, which I guess can have some sort of connection to everything else that's going on in here. Yeah, I'm kind of at a loss for words for this one. I'd like to read some more by Anna. I'm not sure how much they've done. I like this kind of stuff. There's a scene here. Let's actually see if we can find it, because I thought it worked pretty great, actually. Yeah, right here. So she's walking up to the machine. These are the futures that she's presented with here. And as she's walking up to the pedestal where she makes her choices, they have this repeating images, which I thought was kind of an interesting thing. Again, talking about like potential. I can't remember if they speak specifically about these are potential futures or what the deal was exactly. So this idea that as you're moving, you're creating different timelines and things. And they do the same trick over here as well, which of course I'm not going to be able to find here. There we go, on this page as well. So I liked it. It had that kind of mysterious effect of things for sure. Yeah, I enjoyed it, but I don't know if it blew me away. So that's Afternoon at McBurger's. The next one here is Black River by Josh Simmons. Kind of firing through these first two because it's the last two that I have the most to say about. Josh Simmons, he of Dream of the Bat that we looked at before. There was that collection that came out with all of the quote unquote Batman stories that he did with was it Ryan Keck? I can't remember his first name. So this is first printing 2015. This is Fantagraphics as well. And this was a hell of a book. I love Josh Simmons. I love his work a lot. I really like his art style. This one was really intriguing. Post-apocalyptic world, a group of women, and I think only one man traveling with them, if I'm remembering right. And just kind of their time on the landscape, trying to find food, trying to find shelter. In this particular, right at the beginning, they happen to find some booze, which obviously is a rarity because they get all excited and they get shit-faced. And we get this lovely image of the Northern Lights, the Aurora Borealis. Beautiful stuff. Hello, Colin. How are you, man? It gets dark really, really quickly. It hits a certain spot, and I'm not going to show you any of that stuff, but holy shit, does it get dark and violent and insane. We got a little bit of the naughty business going on here too. But I really enjoyed it quite a bit, even though there was it took me by surprise when it got really serious and kind of dark and depressing. It was a hell of a read. I know that he's got a lot of stuff out there. He's a guy I need to dig into it more. This is almost like a horror book. Kayla Janice is referenced has a quote on the back here. Josh Simmons has concocted a hellish world in which mad women roam a post-apocalyptic landscape, but its battle scars are nothing compared to the self-obliterating hell of their own minds. A horrifying, unforgettable vision. It's something else. She's right about that. So I won't show you anything more there. Yeah, and honestly, Gore, like, there's this one. There's been a couple of books that I'm not sure the librarians are kind of. I feel like maybe there isn't oversight. I'm glad that there isn't that level of oversight that these are getting into our library, but I'm kind of surprised as well that this one is there. And there's been a couple like that. But again, I'm sure glad that nobody's censoring shit and they're getting this stuff in there. So hello, Rick Ray. Black River's an incredibly bleak book. It sure as hell is, man. And I was just saying before you arrived, I didn't know what the story was. And when it kind of did a turn, it really hit me like a ton of bricks. It gets dark pretty damn fast. So the two books I have the most to say about, we'll start with this one. So this is Ducks by Kate Beaton. I was hanging out on some of the live stream that For the Love of Comics was doing, and he was talking about this book. I've heard about it. Sorry, let me just do something here, see if we can do something like that, see if that helps us. He had mentioned it, and I'd seen it before. I've heard mention of it before. I'm not familiar with Kate Beaton. Let me just start there. I've never read anything by Kate Beaton. I know about her. I know her stuff by seeing it. Get a nice kind of embossed cover here. This is drawn in quarterly. I'm going to take it out of the dust jacket, actually. Beautiful cover on this. Is really, really nice. So first things first, I really like this book a lot. I'm kind of surprised at how much I enjoyed it. I didn't know how much I would like her style. So turns out, I guess she came through town at some point because the copies that they had in the bookstore were signed. So hey, there you go. Extra bonus for me there, I guess. So this is a Canadian story. She's from the East Coast. I don't remember exactly where now, though. Was it Princess? Was it PEI? Was it Mabu? Because that's there. Anyway, I'm not really sure. So what happens on the East Coast is where she was from. There's not a lot of jobs there for people. She got her master's of Arts, is that what it was? And then she needed some work to pay off that student loan. And what she talks about in the beginning of the story here is just yeah, here we go. So New Waterford, Halifax, Nova Scotia here. So, and then Alberta oil sands. There you go. Cape Breton. Thank you very much, Rick. For the love of comics, hello. I mentioned your name and you have arrived. I was just saying that when I saw you talking about this book on your channel, I think I went out the next day and picked it up. So everybody ends up traveling to Alberta, and specifically the old oil sands, because you can make a lot of money in a really short time. So this is documenting her experience there from, I believe it's 2005-ish to 2007-ish, when she could make some money. She left for a little while, about a year into it, and went kind of, I think maybe to Toronto and to work and things, just to get out of there. So I love this book because one of the big things that I loved about it is its kind of portrayal of that working class and that environment, working on the oil sands. So I don't have experience working on the oil sands. I never did that. I had a very, very small experience, 6 weeks, 3 weeks on, coming back for a week or two, and then going back 3 weeks in Saskatchewan, building, holding tanks for the frac sand, for a frac sand holding tank, I guess, 200 feet high, 40 feet wide, I believe. And then I've grown up working in welding shops and warehouses, and kind of ever since I was young, like maybe 15, I think is the first time I went to work in a welding shop during the summer. And when I was kind of out of school, I was back working in that welding shop. So I know types of guys like she experiences here in that type of environment pretty well. It's kind of in my DNA. I do have that experience, I guess. Again, not this experience, because Jesus Christ, man. So I think one of the important things, because I've heard, I think it was Colin and I were talking about it, and Colin had said that somebody else didn't like it because she didn't go into detail about some of the things, right? And I would argue that I'm glad that she didn't. She's not this isn't a book, this isn't a Joe Sacco book where she's an investigative reporter and looking into the environmental impact or the psychological impact to that degree. She's talking about her experiences there. She's talking about the environment. She's talking about the isolation. She's talking about what it's doing to the individuals that are there, and that kind of having to do these jobs because you're desperate for money, what that does to you on a personal level. And then being that isolation is the big part of it. So even in that 6 weeks that I went to work in Saskatchewan, in that short period of time, like there's a story in this one about they're talking about one of the guys having fights on a nightly basis with his wife about who has it harder, because she's at home with the kids, he's isolated doing this shitty work. I mean, this isn't too much information, but at the time Lillian was still a baby, and I had those video phone calls with my wife where it was really stressful. I was away, she was at home alone with the baby, and we're trying to just kind of have a chat online, and it just kind of goes south. My drinking kind of crept up the ladder a little bit. And again, that's just 6 weeks where you're kind of in this environment with these guys. I had not quite a physical altercation with the boss, but it felt like it was getting pretty fucking close. So it's not fun, and being around that kind of what's called toxic masculinity for a long period of time, especially like a year plus, like some of these guys are working in this environment. Fuck me, man. So I was thinking about working class comics, and I can't really think of any yet. I asked Colin, I asked Ryan as well too, For Color Apocalypse, if they knew of anybody else, not like a Harvey Pekar type of working class comic where he's talking about record collecting and having Robert Crumb draw it. But I would love to read something from kind of the male perspective of being that environment and what it does to you. being there and the kind of the teasing and things that go on and the sexualization. She talks about this over sexualization. Like she's there and there's people literally lining up at her booth to kind of borrow equipment, and they're just there so they can check her out, see her ass, and they're talking about her like a piece of meat, basically. um, I don't want to say too much about her experience because again, part of these stories is it unfolding, but I really liked the way that she kind of tackled all of these topics into one. I think it worked very well. I got a lot out of it. I read it from cover to cover. I couldn't put it down. But like I said, the art grew on me because I'm just not really a fan of her art style. There's nothing wrong with it. It doesn't resonate with me. But it didn't take me very long to look past that and get into it in this book. Her sisters end up coming to work there as well too, and they can even see the change in her in the first year that she's been there. um, and as she kind of, there's a couple of the male characters that kind of float through the whole story. They kind of make appearances at various points, and you can see the way some of them shift, and you can see some of the things that they're potentially dealing with. One specifically is like, I've been doing this kind of work my whole life. I worked in coal mines, I did, et cetera, et cetera. And just this look into the working class that just doesn't get really talked about. Because yes, there's all these impacts that are happening, these environmental impacts that are happening, and these horrible things that are happening, but they're all happening and here's my union guy coming out. They're all happening while taking advantage of people who just need a job, who just need to work. And if these industries dry up and go away, what happens to these people who have families? What happens to these people who don't know any other line of work? They don't know. So it asks more questions than it answers. And I think that's also what works about it. It's not, I didn't find that it was like proselytizing or preaching or anything. It was just presenting these people as they were, warts and all, because even some of the men in here that she becomes friends with, and you can tell that she has some respect for, she still shows the times where she had bad interactions with them, or they said some stupid shit, or they acted like a piece of shit towards somebody, her or somebody else, right? She doesn't shy away from any of that stuff. um, I'm assuming that these are all based on real people. I'm guessing that she's changed some of them to make sure that they can remain kind of anonymous. But I respected that. It wasn't a damning uh, of these individuals and this line of work. It was really, I feel like she was really trying to just portray it in the light that it was intended to. Everybody needs a job. Unfortunately, this is the fucking society we built for ourselves, where money is the root of all, and you need to work to keep a roof over your head and your family's head. And there's always going to be some motherfucker that's going to try to take advantage of you and put you in these shitty situations. And some people just don't have an option. They don't have anything else they can do. And especially that kind of messaging really resonates with me, with all of the members and stuff that I was dealing with. There was not oftentimes, I should rephrase that. That's not fair. There was a few times where the general tone in the office sometimes was dealing with some of the members who don't have the same political views, who are maybe a little more right, and people in the office not wanting to talk to them. And well, I don't, and then I say I would take care of it. I'd talk to them more Northern Lights. Well, why would you want to talk to them? Because they're our members and we have to represent all of the members, including the ones that we don't agree with, including the ones that have different political views than us. And I would argue that that's something that she does well. They all have different views because everybody's an individual, but these are human beings, and these are human beings in a environment that is at its core, she's arguing, unhealthy. I would agree with her. Now, again, this is one person's perspective. So there's going to be a group of people too that think that this work is fine and they have an easy time dealing with it. I know that that's the other side of it for sure. But yeah, so as she moves throughout the different work sites, I like also what she does here is just kind of give us a page where here's the characters, here's where they're from. that sort of thing. So I really liked it. I don't want to overhype it too much, and I'm probably going to stop here. I won't show you much more past this. But yeah, I would encourage you. This is maybe, if you're not blown away by the art, or if it doesn't impress you, I would say give it a chance. You know, again, this is something that I feel would be at a library. Give it a chance and give it a read. Yeah, and again, I think it's that thing of the expectations. I know that everybody wants a real deep dive into things, and I totally understand that perspective, but that's not her. That's not her voice. That's not her story here. So it's important that you try to come to this with what potentially her intentions are. I can't speak for her, but that's what I feel her intentions are, to give you this overview and not dig into one particular area, because it's about the whole thing. It's about the environmental impact. It's about the human impact. It's about everything, right? It's encompassing this entire industry and this thing that we've built for ourselves. This is the suffering that takes place. So yeah, yeah, I feel like, I don't know. Yeah, I think that's good. I think that kind of sums it up. I mean, I don't want to just keep repeating myself, but so pretty impressed, and impressed to a degree that I will be looking for some more of her stuff at the library. This one I did buy for myself, so this is mine, and I'm really glad that I did. And if anybody knows, or if anybody ever comes up with some names of potential like working class cartoonists, please let me know, because I would love to see more perspectives on kind of, not necessarily working in the oil sands, but from that perspective. I know that that's going to be a little more difficult, because people that are going into those fields aren't necessarily artists, but I would say that there's got to be a couple of them out there somewhere. So let's see. I'll go back to the comments that I've missed here. I worked in Fort McMurray for some time, but I never lived in the camps. That's a whole other side of it all. Holy shit, Rick Ray. Yeah, I remember you saying that before. I can't remember what chat that was in where you were saying that. Actually, that might have been in For the Love of Comics chat, right? The story seems interesting, but not the artwork. It must be a strongly written work. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I think the story is incredibly strong, where the artwork served the story pretty quickly for me. I was able to look past the art pretty quick, and actually by the end of it kind of enjoy its simplicity, right? I kind of like the style. I find Beaton's art simple but very expressive. It also flows so easily that I consider it far more effective storytelling. A lot of stop and stare art. Yeah, I would agree with that as well there, For the Love of Comics. Well said. I've enjoyed Beaton's cartooning, and her Hark strips works in great tandem with her wit. Excellent. Yeah, and that's the one that I'll probably try next. I haven't searched her out at the library yet to see what they're carrying, but she's on the list. She's Canadian after all, so I'm sure there's probably flags made, and her books are everywhere. We tend to do that with our Canadian creatives. Make sure that everybody is aware of them at all times. I do the same thing. Ultrasound is our final one for tonight. Connor. Yeah, Connor. There you go. Maybe check out Service Industry by T. Edward Bach. It's not as autobiographical and dips more into the speculative fiction genre, but it does tie in themes of working class cartoonists. Well, fucking hey, Rick Ray. I'm going to take a screenshot of that. Sorry if I disappear. I'm still here, I promise. Hark a Vagrant and Step Aside Pops are the two strip collections. They're all online for free, though. Oh, there you go. That's even better to know. Thank you very much. So, Ultrasound, as is the way, I didn't know anything about this going into it. All I knew was that people had kind of raved about this, and it was something that was published in, I think, 4 parts over the years. Breakdown Press, I think, put them out, and that it's been made into a movie. The only thing that's missing, this would be a good spot for the Love of Comics for the now on Netflix sticker. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, like they've even left a space. It's a circle. I think that would be perfect there for the Love of Comics. What do you think? Um, so again, like to not drag it out too long, I fucking loved this book. This was an intense read. Again, Fantagraphics, and man, oh man, this one is about a journey. This is an absolute journey. So again, when we look at some art, yeah, very nice cover, like really nice design for sure. I'm glad you laughed at that. I meant it as a joke, so I'm glad that it came across there. So when we look at the film adaptation, was actually not too bad. The comic was phenomenal, though. Incredibly Lynchian. Yeah, Lynchian is something we'll talk about for sure. Colin and I were talking about it, and he said that term gets used so much, but it really applies in this case. And I watched the trailer for the movie, and it looked pretty good. My oh, bummer. My daughter got a Hilda book from the library, actually. She was watching your video over my shoulder for a little bit, and it really piqued her attention when you mentioned Hilda. As we take a quick aside from this, I swear we're going to talk about this comic. Her ears perked up when she heard Hilda because she's seen some of the shows and she's seen the books in the library. So I think 2 days later, they had a library day in her school, and she came back, Dad, check out what I got. So she got a Hilda book. We haven't read it together yet, though. But it's sitting on the table ready for us tonight. We just ran out of time tonight. So I'm looking forward to reading a Hilda book. Hello, Damien. How are you? So anyway, I had finished reading this book, and I looked up the trailer on YouTube, watched it once, and was kind of blown away by the trailer. Got my wife to sit down. Her reaction was the same as mine after I finished reading the book throughout. As the trailer kind of keeps going, holy shit, what the fuck? What the hell? What the hell? So I'm hoping we can sit and watch it together. It might even be one that we can watch with my son, actually. So this starts off in quite a, yeah, I really don't want to say too much. So this will be something where we don't look at too much. Let's talk about this first. There's all these really neato kind of things happening here with the art. I love this transition from a rainy highway, slowly, just with this use of kind of color fading over top of the panels to reveal our main character in a bar waiting for a friend of his to show up so they can meet and kind of talk about how things have been going. The way that this story unfolds is pretty fucking brilliant. It keeps you guessing the entire way, and as you're kind of flipping and going through the story, again, it was one that I read in one sitting. I couldn't put it down, and this one I really couldn't put down. I had to go to the bathroom pretty damn bad by the end of it, but I was holding it till I finished the book. I could not stop because I needed to know what the heck was going on. So in this first story, we get Glenn as one of our main characters. He's driving down the highway, and he runs over a board with some nails poking out of it that puncture 2 of his tires. It's pouring. He sees a house nearby. He goes and meets what become 2 more of our main characters, Cindy and yada yada yada. Is it Tom? What the? Cindy, Glenn, and what the heck is his name? I don't know. It'll come to us anyway. So we get this kind of story. It's a little bit awkward. It's this couple. He's now there. He's drying out his phone. They've let him have a shower and kind of get out of his clothes so they can get dried off. And they start saying like, hey, listen, you're not going to get anybody. You're not going to get anybody to come and pick up your car and fix it. It's the middle of the night. Why don't you just stay here overnight and just hang out with us overnight? and will kind of help you out in the morning. I'm pausing because I'm thinking I should just stop. So it's clear he's kind of checking out the guy's wife. So we get kind of the story unfolds from there. This guy whose name I'm forgetting starts talking about suffering from depression. He has to go and take these pills. So it's yeah, Art is his name. Art has to go and take these pills. Arthur, thank you very much, Rick Ray, for his depression, and that kind of takes the story on a little bit of a turn. So the way it kind of eases you into the story, and the way it kind of does these changes where you're just getting a little bit more information every few pages to keep you wanting to find out more, I think is really brilliant. So the pacing is really on point. And for real, I think I'm going to stop there. I really don't want to spoil anything. I think that if you don't know it, don't watch a trailer, don't read about the book, just pick up the book, um, pick it up and give it a read. Yeah, it makes it hard to talk about. I kind of don't want to spoil it. There's a lot that I have to say about this. It deals with some, there's a lot of like kind of paranoia happening in here. And as someone who maybe did a little bit too much drugs when they were younger, I've suffered from very mild paranoia back then that every once in a while kind of creeps up on me. So as the book went, and especially when you get to maybe the last kind of, I don't know, quarter of the book, my reading started to get faster. The pacing got quicker. I felt myself having a little bit more anxiety as I moved through it. Really, really well done, like masterfully told. It just really laid out and paced beautifully, and just a fascinating story. And I really didn't see it coming. And even when you start to get some of this, information, you still don't have all of it, and you're still trying to figure out what the fuck is going on and where this is going to lead, and all of these other questions. Every page is, for as many answers as you get a bunch more questions too. I'll sort of flip and see some of the art. So we do get some changes in kind of coloring into. I'll sort of flip fast just to give you a sense. So we do get a few different color palettes. I don't know if this was something that, as he was creating or put together for this book, I was talking to Ryan Carey about it, and he was telling me that the issues that he's seen of the original, the coloring and everything is the same as is in the hardcover. So he was saying, if you get this book, you don't need the single issues. This one gives you anything. As I saw with Wild recently, there was a lot of rewriting and there was recoloring. So I was curious if it was something similar to this. And he was saying, no, this is exactly the same as the Breakdown Press issues. And the Breakdown Press issues are pretty damn expensive. So it's just more worth your while to get this. Not that I'm a shill for Fantagraphics, but I do think that Fantagraphics has a sale on now. And for those of you lucky enough to be in the States, I think they're doing free shipping. I'm pretty sure it was them that had a sale on already. So I don't know anything about the creator Gore. I think maybe there's one other bit of work that Connor has done, but I'm not sure. I'm trying to think of, let's see, a breakdown of born in 1985 and grew up in central Pennsylvania. He began cartooning with his friends in closed caption comics while at the Maryland Institute College of Art in Baltimore. His first graphic novel, there you go, The Amateurs, was published by Fantagraphics in 2014 and published in Italian in 2017. He lives in Illinois with his wife and teaches courses in comics and self-publishing at the School of the Art Institute of Chicago. And I think he had a breakdown of the years. Yeah, so Part 1 was drawn between 2012 to 2014. Part 2 was 2014 to 2015. Part 3 was 2016 to 2017. And then Part 4 was 2018 to 2021. So, yeah, that's true. It's very true for the love of comics. So I think before it was finished, it went into production to be a movie. So I don't know if the movie had any effect on his storytelling for this book or what. I'm guessing because of how kind of expertly it's paced and written out, that all of it was written before the movie. So I don't think the movie influenced this, but what do I know? Let's just scroll back, see what else I've missed here. Yes, fascinating panels in color for sure. Arthur, yes. Goes on the list. Perfect. There you go. Gore Vidal book indeed. There you go. I'll be very curious to hear what you guys have to say about. Oh, Damien too. There you go. Gonna have to take the plunge. Yeah, and then the amateurs, and then yes, absolutely, all of us are shills for Fantagraphics. So those are the 4 books I wanted to talk about. They were really, it was a really good chunk of reading. I've started, one of the other books I got from the library was The Complete Peanuts, 1955 to 1956. And I've read about, I don't know, 20 or 30 pages of this already. And I mean, do I need to say that it's great? It's great. It's really great. I love reading these peanut strips. I love reading them in small chunks like this. So I don't think I'll ever spring for these individual books, but my library has quite a few of them. So I'll probably kind of casually take these out over the next, I don't know, 6 months or something, and check them out. Thanks, everybody. Thank you very much for hanging out and chatting in the comments as usual. If you get the books, please do videos. I'd love to see, or hell, if you read Ultrasound and Ducks and you guys want to do a chat and dig into it, I'm all for a live stream jumping into those books in detail with spoilers galore, because I do feel like there's a lot to talk about. There's probably a lot to talk about in Ultrasound. I would say that there's still a bit to talk about in this for sure, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. So keep me posted if you guys read that, and let's chat. Let's work something out. Right on. Thanks very much, everybody, and we'll talk to you.